This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
The Gemara Megilla on Yud Amud Beis darshans the pasuk in Yeshaya Nun Hey V'haya Lashem Lashem, that God made a name for Himself. How did Hashem make a name for Himself? Zu Mikra Megilla, through the mitzvah and through the document of Megillah. And I always wondered, Hashem made a name for Himself through Mikra Megillah? If there's one document with which Hashem didn't make a name for Himself, that's Mikra Megillah. After all, Megillah is the one book in Tanakh where God's name does not appear. So what's the meaning of V'haya Lashem Lashem? God made a name for Himself through Mikra Megillah. So perhaps the simple interpretation would be that we know when Amalek is in the world, God's name is not complete, His throne is not complete. Ki yad al kes ka, milchama Lashem ba'Amalek. As long as Amalek is in the world, it's case, it's ka, Hashem's name is not Yud Ke Vav Ke. So through the Megillah and through the story of Purim and the destruction of Amalek and the downfall of Haman, so God's name becomes complete and ka is restored to the Yud Ke Vav Ke. But perhaps we could suggest further. We just gave a shir called the Kabbalistic interpretation of V'nahapaychu. We said over from the Yetiv Lev and others, V'nahapaychu, that when Amalek is in this world, there's a missing aleph from case, there's a missing vav hey from the Shem Hashem. Like the Marsha says in Menachos, Ki bachar Hashem b'tzion, when God will select Tzion, Iva, the letters aleph vav hey l'moishav lai, will be restored. The aleph to case, the vav hey to the Shem Hashem. Ki bachar Hashem b'tzion, Iva l'moishav lai. Therefore, the interpretation of V'nahapaychu is, as you could imagine, Haman and Amalek co-opted the letters aleph vav hey, and they probably distorted it and put it backward. Like we find, while Esther says Yavai Hamelech v'Haman Hayom, she says Yud Ke Vav Ke forward. Haman says V'chol zeh einenu shoyveli, Seifei Tevois Yud Ke Vav Ke backward. So Haman's flipping everything around. V'nahapaychu, the letters Hey Vav Aleph, that Haman tried to make it backward, Hey Vav Aleph. V'nahapaychu, those letters flipped around and became Iva Aleph Vav Hey, and are now primed, ready to be restored and returned. The Aleph to the case, and the Vav Hey to the Yud and the Hey. So we could say, V'haya Lashem Lashem. How did Hashem make a name for Himself? Through Mikra Megillah. Because through Mikra Megillah, not only was Amalek destroyed, but V'nahapaychu, the letters Hey Vav Aleph are now flipped back into the position of Iva, Aleph Vav Hey, and they're ready to be returned, the Aleph to case, and the Vav Hey to the Yud Hey. May we be zoicha to see the great hashlama of the name of Hashem on the great day of Ki bachar Hashem b'tzion, Iva l'moishav lai. This is how Hashem made a name for Himself through the mitzvah of Mikra Megillah. Wishing everyone a good tavach and a freilich and Purim.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.